In the Agentforce Specialist exam, your goal is to match the correct capability to each request. Salesforce does not expect memorization for this exam. Instead, they want to see if you understand how agents are configured to accomplish their work. Let's approach this the way the exam expects you to. First, let's go over the main goal. You need to know how to choose and set up both standard and custom actions, and how these actions become available to agents through topics. Just as important, you also need to understand how this changes depending on the type of agent. Let's start with agent actions. Actions are the specific tasks that an agent performs for a user. Whenever the agent is doing something, it is using an action to make it happen. There are two main types of actions: standard actions and custom actions. Standard actions are ready to use out of the box. They come with agents by default and are designed for common tasks. For example, drafting or revising an email, summarizing a record. If the use case on the exam seems common or general, a standard action is usually the right choice. Remember, access to some standard actions depends on permissions or licenses. Now let's talk about custom actions. Custom actions are created when a business needs something more specific. When you set up a custom action, you choose a reference action type, which determines how the logic will work. For the exam, you should know these options: invocable apex, auto-launched flow, prompt template, API. The key thing to remember for the exam is this: custom actions are there to extend what agents can do beyond standard actions. Now let's cover action instructions, which often come up on the exam. Instructions explain what the action does, when it should be used, and how it should behave in a conversation. Instructions can be written for the action itself, its inputs, and its outputs. A best practice and a common exam clue is to include example user requests and describe how the action should respond. You also need to understand action parameters. Some inputs are required. Some must be collected directly from the user. For outputs, you can filter out outputs that shouldn't be used and choose which outputs are shown in the conversation. Here's an important exam detail: at least one output must always remain available. Now let's move on to agent topics. Topics are how the agent classifies a user's request. They answer the question, what kind of job is the user asking me to do? A topic is simply a category of related actions. Topics include actions, a classification description, scope, and instructions. Here's a key exam rule: an agent can only use actions that are assigned to its topics. If an action isn't in a topic, the agent cannot use it. That's final. You assign actions by adding them to topics. One action can belong to more than one topic, but you must deactivate the agent before you add or remove actions. That deactivation step is a classic exam trap. Finally, let's connect this to the different agent types. Different agents focus on different types of work. An employee agent supports internal users, handling things like summarizing information or drafting emails. A service agent focuses on customer support, such as cases, knowledge, and issue resolution. A sales agent supports the sales process, helping with qualifying leads, coaching, and moving deals through the pipeline. On the exam, always ask yourself, who is the agent serving and what kind of work are they doing? That will help you find the right topic and the right action. Let's lock this in. For the Agentforce Specialist exam, actions do the work. Topics organize and expose actions. Standard actions cover common needs. Custom actions handle specialized logic. Agent type determines what makes sense. If you think in those terms, the correct answer usually becomes obvious. This structure shows up across the Agentforce Specialist exam. Save this clip and review it again before test day.